Legendary mountain man Jim Beckwourth has cheated death countless times on the frontier.
We don't have much cover, but they don't either.
But while delivering military dispatches on the Santa Fe Trail during the Mexican War, he's attacked by a Pawnee war party.
Stay down. I'll shoot. You hold the horses. Tell them together.
And it will take a near miracle to escape with his life.
The horses, Isaac. Don't let them get spooked and run off or else we're finished. You understand me? Here. You keep that. If I'm killed, you do what you gotta do.
Outnumbered and exposed, Jim Beckwourth knows his only chance to survive is to stand his ground and fight. Born into slavery in Virginia, Jim Beckwourth embarks on a westward journey the moment he is granted his freedom, living a life of relentless adventure.
Jim Beckwourth was one of the most experienced and formidable of all the mountain men. In frontier society, the racial attitudes of the East didn't hold sway. Men were judged on their abilities and their accomplishments, and Beckwourth had proven himself countless times.
From the 1820s onward, he's had a very colorful experience. He becomes a member of the Crow, and he fights with the Crow and lives with the Crow for almost a solid decade. So Beckwourth's life is sort of defined by a cycle of almost reinventing himself.
He's constantly looking for adventure, ways to challenge himself. Beckwourth always wanted something new.
By 1838, Beckwourth has left the Crow and is looking to start the next chapter of his life. So he reinvents himself as a fur trader, working for Andrew Sublette, the founder of Fort Vasquez.
Fort Vasquez was located on the South Platte River, a few miles from present-day Denver. This was an important trade route, making the fort's location ideal as a center of commerce and diplomacy.
I gotta tell you, man, I was cornered. No way to defend myself. Bartender must have took pity on me because he slipped me this great big old Bowie knife. It was 3 against 1, but the tables had surely turned.
He likes to tell stories, and when he tells those stories, he's usually the hero, and a lot of people accused Beckwourth of being a liar.
There's 3 big guys coming at me.
That's enough.
What's the problem now, Murray?
Respectfully, I ain't keen on working with a bunch of rascals and liars.
Liars?
You know, Jim Beckwourth.
Why do I hear someone whispering my name? Might as well say it to my face when I'm sitting right here.
For Pete's sake, Sublette. On top of everything else, he's a Crow!
In this dangerous environment, Beckwourth had problems that white mountain men didn't face. People were always going to question his truthfulness and his loyalty. How can this black man, who's been living with the Crow, be absolutely loyal? Can we trust him?
You got one shot. When this blade here is always loaded. You come on. Come on.
Okay, stop! I will not abide by this. Well, he's the one that started all this.
Now look, I heard all them rumors and stories about him before. And I know them to be false. If I had any questions about his character, Murray, I wouldn't have hired him. And if I knew you like making trouble, I wouldn't have hired you. We all have to work together out here. That goes for everybody. So get squared away. Head on back to St. Louis.
Sublette is fully aware of Beckworth's reputation, which is why he hired him.
Andrew was one of 5 Sublette brothers associated with the American fur trade.
Sublette's older brothers, William and Milton, are already legends. Now he's trying to make a name for himself, and Beckworth is key to his plans. Sublette promotes Beckworth to a leadership position, and his first task is to establish contact with local tribes to increase trade.
Beckworth sets out to encourage Plains tribes to move to the Platte River.
Beckworth has the knowledge, not only of the terrain, but he also has the knowledge of the people. And he's the best person to be able to bring those two things together.
Before long, Beckworth locates a Cheyenne village near Laramie Mountain.
Jim Beckworth.
When Beckworth gets to the Cheyenne camp, there's William Bent already there. William Bent had been involved in the fur trade for a long time.
Bent was really good at relationships, at peacemaking between whites and Indians, but also between the tribes themselves. He was very effective at generating income without upsetting a whole lot of people.
Howdy, William.
But in his role as peacemaker,
Howdy.
Bent has a stern warning for Beckworth.
Took a big risk coming here, Jim. If they learn you're Crow, you're a dead man.
Suppose we'll soon find out.
Well... Chief Old Bark is a gruff man, but he's open-minded. You'll like him. If you'll allow me to complete my business with him, I'll be happy to make an introduction. I'll even translate for you, Jim.
I'd like to speak for myself.
You're gonna have to trust me on this one, Jim, or else me and you, we're both in hot water.
Fine. You ain't trouble about helping out an old rival, are you, William?
Not at all, Jim. Wait here.
Now, the Cheyenne are traditional enemies of the Crow, whom Beckworth was a member of. So he's taking something of a risk as a Crow who had killed many Cheyenne by riding into Cheyenne territory in the hopes of opening up trade relations.
Hi, Jim. He'll hear you out. What is it you want me to say to him?
Bent's saying, don't tell him you're a Crow. Well, Beckworth says, are you kidding me? That's my best stuff.
Tell him, as a Crow, I've been at war with them a long time. I've killed many of their kin and ridden their horses until they were sore. I've gorged on their buffalo till I couldn't stuff down no more. I come here because I know the Cheyenne are the bravest. And I'm here to be cut down and fed to your dogs so that your people may boast of killing a Crow chief.
Hey, whoa. Jim.
To Bent, Beckworth's plan seems foolish, even suicidal.
You lost your mind, you're not gonna make it out here alive.
Go on. You tell him what I said.
Beckworth is making a risky gamble, and if he loses, he dies.
And I'm here to be cut down and fed to your dogs so that your people may boast of killing a Crow chief.
Fur trader and former Crow war chief Jim Beckworth is trying to establish trade with the Cheyenne.
You lost your mind, you're not gonna make it out here alive.
Go on. You tell him what I said.
But his translator, William Bent, has grave doubts about Beckworth's brazen approach.
Beckworth gambles that an ostentatious display of bravery will endear him to the Cheyenne and open up trading opportunities. But Bent fears that he is going to be precipitating Beckworth's death.
He says they remember you. They know that you have killed many of their warriors, so they know that you are telling the truth. They won't kill you, Jim. They like a great warrior.
Beckworth's gamble pays off, just as he knew it would.
The Cheyenne are going, wow, this guy's cool. Kind of an interesting juxtaposition of bravery and braggadocio, but it worked.
I will trade with you fairly. I will not cheat you. And should you need help with your enemies, my arm is strong.
And we trade. You ride with us.
He vows that the enemy of the Cheyenne will be his enemy, that he will fight alongside his new trading partners should the need arise.
And the combination of that promise and the potential for very real prosperity from trade makes this a natural alliance.
But Beckworth will have to live up to his promise much sooner than he anticipated. While guiding a group of Cheyenne to Fort Vasquez,
Pony, get the cover.
Beckworth encounters a party of Pawnee warriors.
Adversarial relations between the Cheyenne and the Pawnee actually predate the arrival of Europeans, because the two tribes found themselves in competition for resources, especially buffalo hunting grounds.
The Cheyenne were trying to wipe out the Pawnees, and so both tribes consider each other enemies.
Beckworth has now found himself in the middle of an ancient rivalry. But he has a promise to keep.
For so many tribes, war was about showing how brave you were. To steal an enemy's weapon, to steal an enemy's horse, those kinds of activities were showing how brave you were. When they called it counting coup.
To the Cheyenne around him, when Beckworth picks up this rifle from a dead Pawnee warrior, it's essentially the same as counting coup.
That gives Beckworth his credibility with the Cheyenne. He believed in what his word meant to other people, because the only thing that he could give someone was his word.
The Pawnee, however, are going to have a long memory, and they're going to remember Jim Beckworth.
But Beckworth's time working out of Fort Vasquez will be short-lived. His employer, Andrew Sublette, closes up shop, and Beckworth has to reinvent himself yet again. In 1846, the United States and Mexico go to war. And Beckworth now has an opportunity to serve his country.
I'm restless, William. I'd fight on the front lines if they had me.
We got plenty of volunteers headed down to Mexico for the front lines, Jim. I just mustered up a big group of them myself. What we do need are men like you, running dispatches to Leavenworth.
The Santa Fe Trail, that's easy work. I can do that run with my eyes closed.
We'll talk to Colonel Price. He's in charge here now. I'm sure he could use you.
I'd be of much more use with a rifle in my hand, William.
I know how you feel, Joe. But this country's changing. Now, any fool with a little nerve can handle a musket. But a man like you know the land, you know the trails, and you know the tribes. Imagine what good you could do for your country. Here you go. It goes to Leavenworth as soon as possible.
The U.S. Army needs men like Jim Beckwourth. Beckwourth knows all the trails between St. Louis and California. More importantly, he knows all the people. And so Beckwourth signs on as a dispatch rider.
My good sir.
In the 1840s, there's no telephone, no telegraph, no forms of modern communication. The only way to get information across large distances was to send a letter. And the way to send a letter as expeditiously as possible was to put it in the care of a fast rider.
Beckwourth is running dispatches back and forth between the troops that are in the St. Louis area, the forts that are back there, and Santa Fe. It's about a 900-mile trip, and he can usually make that trip in about 3 weeks.
And this requires incredible endurance, incredible bravery, and also just knowledge of the landscape and knowledge of native peoples, because the Santa Fe Trail is incredibly dangerous.
With increased traffic along the Santa Fe Trail, tribes like the Comanche are feeling the strain on the natural resources they rely on to survive. And they are striking back against those they hold responsible.
Welcome back, Jim.
Thank you, sir. Looking for Lieutenant Love.
You found him? It's Beckwourth, right?
Yes, sir.
Stay a while. Rest your weary bones.
Well, my bones are fine. But my horse could use some feed.
Well, we got plenty of that.
I found this on the trail.
That summer, John Love was moving a paymaster from Fort Leavenworth. His men were attacked by the Comanche. It was one of the worst disasters of a pretty disastrous year.
We set up camp once we crossed the Arkansas. Comanche hit us before we knew what was happening. I've taught horseback riding and tactics. I've never seen better riders than them.
Same here.
We ran off most of the animals, and so we had to leave almost every wagon behind. Oh, 6 good men.
I saw the graves.
Honestly, Jim, I don't know how you go down that trail alone.
Working alone. Safer. It'd take an entire army to scare off the Comanche. Same with the pony. Sometimes, one man can do what a whole army can't.
The way he sees it is, if I take troops with me, I'm going to further anger the Comanche or the Pawnee, and I don't want to bring that on myself. So he sets out on horseback by himself. And along the way, he stumbles into a hunting party.
But it's not just any group of hunters. It's the Pawnee. And if they see him, he's as good as dead. Army dispatch rider Jim Beckworth has encountered a small band of Pawnee riders, but he suspects that they are only part of a much larger group. He'll have to be careful.
If it's Pawnee, it's probably going to be a large party. It'll be hundreds of people.
Beckworth is a very brave man, but he's not a stupid one. Beckworth does not want to be caught out on the prairie by himself in a fight that he can't get out of.
Hoping to avoid a fight, Beckworth lays his horse on the ground and tries to keep the animal calm.
The kind of ability, just as a horseman, to get these animals to lay down and to be quiet and to trust you really is pretty remarkable to me. But Beckworth was a man of many talents, and most importantly, he was a survivor.
Beckworth narrowly avoids running afoul of the Pawnee. And makes it to Fort Leavenworth in one piece. After a few days' rest, Beckworth is ready to make the return trip, but his close call is still on his mind.
He's thinking about what that trip back to Santa Fe is going to look like. And now the idea of traveling alone doesn't seem so great.
Dispatcher, sir.
Right over there. It's Jim Beckworth, right?
That's me.
I've heard some tales about you, sir. My name's Isaac.
I'm fixing to push off for Santa Fe. You got my pouch for me?
Oh, yeah, somewhere. Right here. Santa Fe? Now that sounds like an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Is somebody riding with you?
Depends. Son, don't they need you around here?
Heck, anybody can do that job. It's not like he's gonna miss me.
Well, I'm looking for more experienced riders to come with. Maybe next time, kid.
Isaac, he doesn't really have a family. He's been hanging around Fort Leavenworth for quite a while.
But unfortunately, he has a disability. He has a club foot, as it's called, and that prevents him from being able to join the Army. And like a lot of young men, Isaac wants to see the frontier. He wants to get out west. But Beckworth doesn't really want to take another greenhorn.
Beckworth admires the young man's spirit, but he's looking for a more seasoned companion on the trail.
Santa Fe, I need a good rider. I want you to help me.
And he's having a hard time getting anybody that wants to volunteer for that sort of duty, because everyone's heard about the attacks and the trail.
So Beckworth resigns himself to riding solo once again.
Hey, watch where you're going. Decided to go alone after all? If not, sir, I'm ready. Just say the word.
You can ride?
Better than I can walk. Kentucky born and bred, there ain't no finer horse country than that.
Son, you don't need me to tell you how rough it can get out there on a Santa Fe trail.
Cold, then hot, not enough water, Comanche hiding behind every rock. I'm just looking for the opportunity to prove myself, sir. Simple as that.
You got any warmer clothes? A rifle?
No, sir.
But you can shoot.
Dead-eye.
Can you cook? Make coffee?
I reckon. I mean, I'm the best.
Fine. Come with me.
Beckworth kind of takes a shine to him. You know, he says this kid's got a lot of pluck.
He is making this decision based upon what he feels in his gut. The kid gives him this, yes, I want to go. And that alone, I think, is enough for him to say, yes, you know, we're going to make this trip together.
Thank you, sir. I won't let you down, I promise.
Don't thank me yet. One more thing. This has some history with it. Take good care of it, huh?
I will. When do we ride?
When I say so.
Beckworth kind of reluctantly allows Isaac to join him. It beats traveling alone. And at least if they get in a tight spot, maybe Isaac will be helpful.
Ho, ho. Are you ready for this?
Yes, sir.
Let's ride out. Yeah.
The greatest asset that Isaac has working in his favor is that he is very happy to be there. He's super enthusiastic.
Here you are, Jim. Fresh cup.
But on the frontier, enthusiasm can only take you so far. And Isaac still has a lot to learn.
Everything all right?
Young man, I do not believe that you are entirely truthful regarding your abilities as a cook. Suppose bad coffee is still coffee. I'm gonna have to show you the right way.
Several days into their journey, they set up camp near the Arkansas River.
You ever read what's in those?
Nope. Government says deliver 'em. That's what I do.
Jim, I don't understand why we're risking our lives out here if you don't even care what's in that box.
Son, it doesn't matter what I care. People are depending on us. Lives on the line. It's important work.
But Beckworth and Isaac's lives are on the line as well.
Comanche.
The Comanches were the feared Indians on the plains. They are going to hunt you down to the last man.
So Beckworth and Isaac are in a bad, bad position.
Don't shoot. Don't run. Picked up a little Spanish back in California. Lots of Comanche speak Spanish. I'll talk to them.
Fighting back isn't an option, but they'd also never be able to outrun the expert Comanche horsemen.
Now, Beckworth, he knows he's not going to win today. He knows the only way out of this is to talk to these warriors.
En el camino a Santa Fe.
But poor Isaac, who's never even really been on the frontier by himself in this way. The uncertainty, the not knowing of if you're going to see the next sunrise, he must have been terrified.
Boys, you're gonna be in trouble.
Beckworth has always been able to talk his way out of trouble. But there may be no words that can save Isaac.
What do they want?
They want to kill you. Boys, you're gonna be in trouble.
While running dispatches across the Santa Fe Trail, Jim Beckworth and his companion Isaac find themselves at the mercy of a Comanche war party.
What do they want?
They want to kill you.
But there might be one way for Beckworth and Isaac to save themselves.
I told them you were my nephew, so maybe they might spare you. They want you to whip them up some coffee.
Some coffee?
And I think that's a good idea. Only don't show them how much we have.
Of all the resources in the American West, coffee is one of the more amazing ones that are highly sought after by everyone involved. Mexicans, Americans, and natives all want this drink.
Anytime you try to do something with somebody watching over your shoulder, you automatically think, I'm gonna mess this up. And here's all these warriors standing around waiting for their black soup, and poor Isaac, he's working away and doing his best.
Salvation.
Here's Beckworth, former slave from the South. Here's young Isaac, this white kid. And here's the Comanches. And what bonds them, what allows them actually to communicate with each other? A cup of coffee.
I thought we was done for.
You got lucky. It's gonna be cold camps and salt pork for the next few days. Starting the campfires like raising the flag. Gotta keep an eye out for the pony. Kiowa too.
How come they always want to fight so bad?
It's their land. Their lives. Wouldn't you?
So what'd you think of that coffee?
Best I ever had.
Unfortunately for Beckworth and Isaac, Comanches with a taste for coffee are the least of their worries.
Jim, them ain't the Comanches we met earlier, are they?
No. The pony.
Beckworth knows he's probably not going to be able to talk his way out of this one. He's going to have to fight.
Should we run?
Run where? They're better mounted than we are. Can't outrun them now.
For the second time, Beckworth and Isaac are cornered on the Santa Fe Trail. This time by an old adversary, the Pawnee.
Should we run?
Run where? They're better mounted than we are. Can't outrun them now.
While running dispatches on the Santa Fe Trail, Jim Beckworth and his companion Isaac are intercepted by a Pawnee war party.
Head for that ravine yonder. Go.
Yeah.
Further complicating the situation is the terrain.
The Pawnee country, there's not very many like mountains or anything like that. It's pretty much flat.
Looking around, he sees no cover, no protection. He has to be smart about this.
A small ravine offers a slim hope of protection from the Pawnee.
that hill. Come on, let's get up the hill.
The only thing he can do is try to lure his attackers into close range and fire his weapon.
We don't have much cover, but they don't either. Hand me a rifle.
Don't you want me to shoot you?
Stay down. I'll shoot. You hold the horses. Tell them together.
Their last-ditch escape maneuver was to jump on the horses and make a run for it. So Beckworth did not want the horses to get away.
The horses, Isaac. Don't let them get spooked and run off or else we're finished. You understand me? You understand me? Keep that. If I'm killed, you do what you gotta do.
Beckworth's only companion is an untested greenhorn, so he'll have to take on the Pawnee single-handedly.
The advantage that Beckworth had was that he had guns. And the gun is going to be able to reach an enemy at a much greater distance when your competition only has bow and arrow or lesser quality firearms.
Hey, I'm coming up.
Stay down there. They ain't done yet.
Though Beckworth is armed with 2 Hawken rifles, the best weapon on the frontier, he has to take time to reload between each shot, giving the Pawnee an opportunity to advance.
We're not talking about throwing a bullet in the breech. You know, you got to pour down the powder, run down the ball, use the ramrod, tap it down, and this takes a minute or two.
Reckon they trying to surround us.
Jim, on the right.
Gotta let them know that they facing the warrior of the Crow Nation.
It wouldn't take too much to overwhelm Beckworth and Isaac, but Beckworth is proving to be sort of a force to be reckoned with.
I can help reload. Horses ain't going nowhere.
Beckworth kept insisting, keep the horses together and keep them with us. If we lose them, we lose everything.
But Isaac has hobbled the horses, ensuring that they can't run off and he can join the fight.
Honest, Jim, I don't see how you're staying so calm. Don't they scare you?
It's a fine men we're facing, son. As brave as any crow I've ever ridden with. Keep reloading. You ready?
The veteran mountain man and the nervous greenhorn prepare to make a desperate last stand. And they will live or die together. With a group of Pawnee bearing down on them.
Jim, what are we gonna do? They're right there.
Jim Beckworth and his young companion, Isaac, are running out of time.
That's right.
Beckworth recognizes that maybe this is an opportunity to mount up and make a break for it. Beckworth and Isaac get on their horses, they head for the Santa Fe Trail, and they make their escape. The Pawnee decide there's too much risk in pursuing Beckworth, and they decide to fall back and leave.
Beckworth and Isaac make it back to Santa Fe the worse for wear, but alive. Beckworth has a new story to tell, and Isaac has survived his trial by fire.
Beckworth is very impressed with how Isaac handled himself on the frontier. He kept his cool, and he proved himself to be a good partner for the mission.
Be at Santa Fe by nightfall. You've been a good hand out here. Better than most men with twice the experience.
Well, I'm just glad you took me on. And you saved my life. I won't forget that. After the war, what do you do?
Got a taste for California a while back. Thinking I might just head out that way. It's tough country, son. A man's got to make his own place out here. You do that, you'll be just fine. Yeah.
The war with Mexico is sort of winding down. The United States has defeated Mexico and has gained a massive territory. That massive territory includes California.
Beckworth sees that America's future now lies in California. And Jim Beckworth, the trapper, the Crow Chief, the trader, the messenger, will reinvent himself yet again.
Jim Beckworth lives an amazing life. He lives a long life. And he also participated in so many important moments. He's everywhere and he does everything.
Beckworth had so many different skills that were at the right time, at the right place. Not a whole lot of mountain men have seen the Atlantic Ocean, have seen the Gulf of Mexico, have seen the Pacific Ocean, have ridden up and down the Mississippi River.
He spends his whole life seeking that next adventure, seeking that next place for himself, and constantly reinventing himself. And in many ways, he encapsulates the American story in the frontier. The West represents opportunities and cycles of renewal, and it certainly represents those things to Jim Beckworth.